Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to Positive Talk again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited because once every other week, we get to have a show where we feature some really interesting people, and they're brought to us by the Passionistas, and they're waiting in the wings for us. But the other thing that's really exciting is that it takes once every 2 weeks and for us to have a really big show, for me to get her to come on the show. So there she is. That's Holly Berry. Holly, how are you today?
Hello. Happy Monday, Kevin. And thank you for letting me come join you on the show to feature the Passionistas. So for our dear listeners,
the only way I can get you here is to make somebody else come along, and then you have to come.
And then I have to come. Yeah, I can't miss the party.
Exactly. Well, I would love for you to introduce, we've got a full show, so we want to get right into it. I'd love for you to introduce the Passionistas.
Yeah, so our Passionistas are Amy and Nancy out of California, USA, and they have a wonderful community, and they bring Power Passionistas from their community on every first and third Monday of the month, so we can tell our dear listeners more about it, as well as their community and everything that's going on there with them. And if you are listening right now on YouTube, we are broadcasting live, and we'll watch for questions and comments and even emojis. We got lots of little cute emojis last time, so feel free to chime in. We're happy to have you here. And without further ado, I give you Amy and Nancy Harrington of the Passionistas Project.com. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome.
Hello. We're so glad to be back. We look forward to our Mondays with Positive Talk. We're so excited. And we're especially excited today because we have two amazing guests. We are bringing with us today Claire Jones and her daughter Amaranthia Scipia from Sista Creatives Rising. And they are new to our community, but we have fallen in love with them so much that we bring them with us everywhere we can. So they're here with us today, and I will turn it over to them and let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, hi, I'm Amaranthia.
And I'm Claire.
And we're a mother-daughter duo, and we work with the disabled community in the arts. So I will start off with self-identification or self-ID, because we have some folks who might be blind or low vision tuning in. And so again, I'm Amaranthia, and I'm a 24-year-old young Black woman, and I have long black locks or dreadlocks. I have like a geometric pattern black and white headband. I'm wearing large headphones, round, clear rimmed glasses, a red turtleneck, red and black striped crop top over it, and a kind of comic style red, blue, and white denim jacket. And behind us is like various different fabrics, red, black, and white fabrics. We're on a couch, and you'll see some of my artwork behind with some fake sunflowers and some Japanese decor on the wall.
Hi, and this is Claire. I am a 61-year-old Black woman. My accent is I'm from Barbados, born and raised in Barbados. I am wearing large red framed glasses with a gold chain hanging down, and I have a geometrical head wrap. It's black and white and some browns. I have a black shirt showing out from underneath a brown overall, and I have necklaces around my neck, a beaded necklace, and one of them has hearts. And I'm wearing large black headphones, and I'm sitting next to Amaranthia, and we're in front of the same background that she just described. Nice to be here.
Welcome.
Ladies.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's actually super fun. Can we do that too, everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, you go first. Describe yourself, sir.
Okay, I'm a short, fat white guy with a goatee, and it's all white, and a black T-shirt, and a little amulet that I wear just for good luck. And I'll send it over to my friend over here. Oh, over here. Going backwards.
So this is Holly. My name is Holly Berry, and I help Kevin in all his business ways that I am capable of helping him with. I have a business degree, bachelor's in science. I am a 30-something-year-old Caucasian female, and I have dark brown hair. It's up in a tight little top knot bun today, and I'm wearing big headphones, and I have a big microphone here as well, and a purple lavender hoodie, and that is me. I will send it over to Nancy next.
Hello, this is Nancy from the Passionistas Project. I am a 60-year-old white woman. I have brown auburnish hair and clear framed glasses. I'm wearing a gray sweater on top of a white t-shirt, and I'm sitting in front of a very colorful background. It's a bright orange wall. I have a couple of prints on the wall that are pinks and oranges, and I have a vase, a blue vase with some pretty pink and orange flowers in them, and I'm sitting in a white chair. I think that's it. How about Amy?
This is Amy. I am Nancy's sister, and I actually match almost exactly the same description as Nancy, except she has bangs and I do not. And I'm wearing green framed glasses. I have on a white shirt with multicolored flowers, and I'm sitting on a super comfy gray couch with a beige curtain that has black and gray and yellow graphic flowers on it.
Oh, and I should probably add that as a background for me is a view of downtown Seattle with a Space Needle and with Mount Rainier way in the background and stuff like that. So it's great to have everybody here. That was something we've never done, ladies, and thank you for that. That's really cool.
Yeah, we're glad. Only a few people have participated, so
we're glad that you've joined us.
Yeah,
and we also sometimes we also do pronouns if people want to. Mine is she, her, and Amaranthia is she, her. You don't have to, but we also do that as well, so that to be inclusive of, because there's so many intersections that are in our community.
Yeah. Well, this is Amy, and I am also she, her.
This is Nancy, and I am she, her as well.
Very good. And I answered almost everything. Oh, we have Tamara in the house. Welcome, Tamara. We're so glad that you're here live with us.
And she says, hello, Seattle. Hello, Holly. And good to see everybody.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you.
Glad you're here.
Did you want to kick it off, Kevin, or do you want me to ask the first question?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll kick it off by asking you to ask the first question. How about that?
Well, I am always a big fan of origin stories. So I would love to hear how Amaranthia and Claire became part of the Passionistas sisterhood and some of your first experiences with Amy and Nancy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Amaranthia is much better because she introduced me.
Because we connected on Instagram through Julie DeLuca Collins, because we were part of her radio. We were on her radio show. We did her podcast, and I run our Instagrams, again, same name, Sister Creatives Rising, and Julie was like, hey, you really need to meet Passionistas. You guys would be aligned with your work, since you're focusing on marginalized communities, and specifically women. And we connected. We started talking over email. And we learned about the Passionistas forum. We joined that, and we just had an amazing chat. And we were like, yeah, let's go on the podcast. So we just did the podcast with Amy and Nancy. It was a few weeks ago, and we're gonna be posting about that soon. And it's on. I think it's on. Yeah, it's streaming now.
Yeah, it's streaming.
Yeah,
now.
It's public, right? Yeah, and and then you guys invited us to Positive Talk Radio because we watched it one time. Holly, you invited us, and we were like, wow, this is really cool. We love being on podcasts like this are about inspiration,
Yes.
inspiring people and
Positivity.
sharing our stories. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it came together.
And the
Oh,
other
I
thing
love
that's
that.
cool is we have a scholarship program in
Yes.
our sisterhood. So we have offered Sisters of Creative Rising scholarships for anybody in their community that wants one. They give amazing grants to people. And so we said, definitely make sure your grant winners especially know that they get a free membership, but anybody else in their community that wants one, we are upgrading them to premium as just a show of support and sisterhood.
Yes, and we shared that in our newsletter, and we shared it on Instagram. And
we're about to share it on
Did we share on
Instagram.
Instagram yet?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're a
I
bit
know we
behind
did.
on that, but we've been
Yes.
putting it in the newsletter, and we got I think like maybe 3 people
Yeah.
Yeah, I
who
think
submitted. Yeah, 3, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And I saw someone joined recently, and yeah, it was from our microgrant open call. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping more people will join, especially once we announce it on Instagram,
On
and once we
Instagram,
announce the
yeah.
finalists as well. So that's been really great to offer, because we're only gonna be able to give the grant to 8 people. So at least they'll have something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great. It's a very good collaboration especially for people that we've only known for such a few short months. So
Yeah.
and we love, as sisters, we love the mother-daughter thing.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another
Yeah.
connection.
Now, Nancy and Amy, there's some people that aren't familiar with your work and where it comes from and what you do. Could you kind of let everybody know what the Passionistas are? I've been practicing it all day.
Taking the landing every time today. Very impressive. Nan, go ahead. You said.
Yeah, so Amy and I, as we said, are sisters, and we've been working together for a really long time, but we started the Passionistas Project about 6 years ago. And we were in the land of celebrity interviewing, which Kevin loves to ask us questions about. And we decided that we wanted to use our skills for something more impactful. So that's when we started the Passionistas Project podcast, where we just talk to women who are following their passions, hoping to inspire other women to follow their passions. And that snowballed into several other projects, including Passionistas Project Pack, which is a gift box full of products from women-owned businesses, and our annual Women's Equality Summit, where we bring women from marginalized communities together, and they do storyteller events around a specific topic, and then a round table so that we can discuss where the common intersectionalities are and what our differences are and how we can all work together. And then last year, we decided that we wanted to really take a step back and look at what the women in our community really needed, as opposed to what we had to offer, which is how we were looking at it. And we were like, that's backwards. We need to ask them what they want. And so we started the sisterhood, because the one thing that we hear from everyone we talk to is that they wish they had what Amy and I have, which is the unbreakable bond, the undying loyalty, someone who is always there, always has your back, is there with advice or a shoulder or just to laugh and have fun. So we have started an online platform where women can come and connect and ask questions and share and rejoice in their wins and, bitch about their losses and and just have fun and support each other. So we're very excited. We just launched it in March.
Wow, it's only been that long. It feels like it's been longer for some reason. Like, I'm so used to the sisterhood now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I'm just gonna say it started in March, but it's growing great, and it's a real great way for women to get together and to build community, which is what we sorely need in this country right now, is to build community with each other. So congratulations. I love the work. And I also found the most important thing that I found out is that Danny DeVito is shorter than me.
I don't know that we said that. I don't know your height, Kevin.
It's not what it once was, I'll tell you that.
Go with that.
Well,
And
let's hear more. Oh yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was going to say, go ahead, Demi, or Holly, whatever your name is.
Nancy, Amy, Holly, Claire, Amaranth. Oh, Holly. I would love to
My
hear.
grandmother used to do that. She'd go through the entire lineup of grandkids before she got to the right one.
Well, could she stop at the right one? That's
Sometimes.
that's the real challenge, is when you get 7 names in.
Our mother always called Nancy and I by the wrong name.
Yeah, mine just called everyone Matilda. It didn't matter who you were all Matilda. Like, that works. That's my middle name now.
That's great.
I'd love to hear more about Sista Creatives Rising and how that got started and what inspired that.
Oh wow. So I would say Sister Creatives Rising is the name that we fell upon now, but this has been a long held dream since I was in Barbados from a very young girl. I was born and raised in a domestic violence family. And I spent most of my life, my early life running and, not knowing who I was, falling just under a very violent situation. And there were good days, but then there would always be those days when the violence would come again. And my mom told me that when I was in her womb, that my father was even violent to her when I was in her womb. And so I was born into it, and even in the womb, I was in it. So for a long time, I always made myself a promise that one day I would get out of that violence, and I would make sure that I would find a way to make my mom happy, and I would share our story and meet, help other women like me and my mom. And so over the years, through many difficult times, trying to find myself, running into so many obstacles, making very bad decisions in my young life, dropping out of school, running into many problems, I kept it in my heart. And I remember the first memory that I had of the violence was I was around 4-ish, 5, and my dad had kicked us out of the house, and I heard my mom screaming outside. And in that screaming, while she was outside screaming, we were in my aunt's house, and it was dark, but there was a light glow from kerosene lamp and a candlelight, and I could smell kerosene. I remember it vividly, and I could see the flicker of the light. And at the same time, there was this violence that was going on, but there was this bright light. And at that time, I remember observing that at such a young age. Wow, there's all this light that is seemingly very calm, but there's all this violence that I'm hearing that is shaking me on the inside. And somehow I carried that light with me through my life. I carried that light with me. And so as time went on and I got into my early 20s and I left the island, I still would constantly write my stories down, and I would remember that that's where what I wanted to do, that promise I made my mom, till eventually I got back into school after having very tumultuous years in my 20s and making really bad decisions. And I got into Mount Holyoke College in my early 30s. And it was there that it all started to come together. All these stories that I had held, all these that I had written down in diaries, all these things that I had pulled together came together in my bachelor's degree. And so over the 4 years that I was there, after dropping out of school and getting my GED and SAT, through night classes and stuff, I decided I was going to share this story. And I realized that through art, I could do it, and writing. So I created this play. The vehicle that I used was a play, and I shared my story. And that story took me all the way back to slavery. And so I got a grant to go all the way back to Senegal, West Africa, where I was able to go to the slave museum on Gorée Island. And in that museum, there were the slave houses, very small rooms, and you could see where the slaves were. in those little houses. And I was like, how could people have been here in this place? It was dark and it was like a dungeon light environment. But there was this door, and in that door, there was a light coming through that door. And that was where all the slaves were shepherded through, and they never saw their homeland again. So I was able to stand at that door. And I remember standing at that door and absorbing, feeling that wound, absorbing what had happened, what had taken place in this place. And I felt like there were long shadows from that time, and I made a promise to myself that I would break through the intergenerational legacy of abuse that had brought me to that point, that had so suffused my life, that caused my dad to be violent to me, and for it to be, I questioned why had this happened to me? And it's only standing at that door and standing in that would give me the opportunity to bridge the gaps from the past, the present, to the future, which is now our slogan at Sister Creatives Rising. And from there, I came back and I wrote my play and I graduated and I met my husband. And then I had Amaranthia just after I graduated. And I decided to stay at home, but I continued writing and everything to take care of Amaranthia because she was very sick. But all the work that I had done, all the writing, all the art that I had done and creating that play, it gave me the opportunity to raise Amaranthia in that art setting. And I surrounded her with arts and everything, not knowing that I was coming to Sister Creatives Rising. And when Amaranthia began to get really sick, and we lived in Japan for a short time, and when we came back, she was bullied a lot. And it was then that I used the art to give her a foundation in the art in the arts, because she was losing her voice because she was bullied so much, and I saw my child's life force leaving her. And so she started to we created these shows along with another artist, and they would travel around New Hampshire in the area where we lived to different towns and different libraries, and she was able to share her story. And I saw her light start to come back. And here again, you hear me using that light again, because that's the light I carried with me, and I transferred that to my daughter. But over time, as she was getting sick, I learned through a naturopathic doctor. She took a salivary test of both of us, and she tested our cortisol. And in that cortisol test, I saw that both of us were flatlined. When it came back, the lines they were almost flatlined. Our cortisol was so low, and the cortisol is the adrenal, is secreted in your adrenals, and that's responsible for your fight or flight. And so our cortisol, my daughter's cortisol was at the same level as me, really low. And I realized something. This is a visual of what it must have been, in what would have shown up if I had that test done, and my mom had that test done. You would have seen that within me. And I realized then that I had passed on this intergenerational legacy of trauma to my daughter. And so over time, I became ill and everything, and I got cancer in 2022. And during that year, I lost my ability to walk. And it was at that time that I realized, lying down in that bed, not knowing how to walk anymore, I realized that I had to do something. I could not continue living in that way. And so in October 2022, when I came into remission, I said to Amaranthia, let's go. And so we launched, began the work towards launching Sister Creatives Rising in January of 2023. And that has brought us to here. Sorry it was long, but it's a very long and interconnected story.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because your cortisol levels were very low. I wonder how many people actually get tested for that.
Yes.
I don't
You're
think,
right.
yeah,
Not
very
many.
few.
Never ever heard of it. Yep.
Yeah, and there in African American and Black women, the stress, we're like 4% of pregnant. I can't remember the statistic. That might be it. But there's a high percentage of Black women that are experience stress during pregnancy. And that stress is passed on to the next to their child.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. If you are, I put it this way, in my play, I did this thing, like colonialism was the stitch and fabric under which I was raised. And therefore, if colonialism was a violent system, that system which we were raised under would pass on to generation to generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much that is what I kind of I envisage it to be like. If you're born in violence, and that is the water that is all around you, is, you know, is turbulent, then that is going to carry on with your life force. And it's also a Buddhist principle, because I'm a practicing Buddhist of over 30 years. There's something in our Buddhism called Ishufuni, oneness of environment. If you how you are on the inside, so is your outside. So that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things that we talk about quite a little bit on the show is the fact that it's something that I call the 7-generation cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Which it goes from generation to generation. If it's dysfunction, it can go from father to son to son to son.
Yes.
And it's important for us to recognize that we can break that cycle, but it takes a lot of work to be able to do that. You're working actively to break that cycle in a whole bunch of people. That's really exciting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
true.
It's been very, after coming through cancer and having to lose my ability to walk and learning how to walk again, and really realizing that when I couldn't walk, I would lie there and I was like, observe the people around me, and I would ask myself, do they understand the importance of each toe? Do they understand the importance of each finger? Because I was feeling that when I was lying down, and I couldn't get up and walk like them. And I was like, one day I want to do that again. And that became so important to me. And so many people don't realize how important having the ability to move and to be independent and self-sufficient is, until something like this happens. You know what I'm saying? So if you have come from where I've come from, and over you repeat these patterns over and over and over, mm-hmm. The universe just stopped me one day and said, you haven't been listening to me. Listen to me now. And it took me out. Mm-hmm. And then I listened. Well, I'm saying to people, don't wait till that happens to you. Get ahead of life before life gets ahead of you. That's my call to action. And, you know, work on yourself now that you have the ability. Don't let something bad happen to mm-hmm. you. And then decide to work on it. Then it might be too late.
It can be really, really hard to slow down and listen.
Sometimes
so hard.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
hard.
Sometimes you have to be stopped.
Yeah. I think Oprah said something at one point in time. It's like life or the universe or God will, you know, whisper and then tap you on the shoulder and then give you the brick wall. So you got to learn how to listen.
Yeah.
So true. And this makes so much sense how Creative Rising is part of the name for your business as well. And I'm a huge fan of art therapy.
Yes.
Tell us more about your micro grants for artists. That's amazing that you're helping connect them.
Yeah. So this has been a project that we've been wanting to do for so long. Originally, kind of proposed by my mom, because of, you know, with her story, that we wanted to give funds, with the concept of giving to marginalized women, and marginalized genders who came from, you know, traumatic backgrounds, who were trying to create, but they weren't able to get support, you know, or they weren't able to get back on their feet after a crisis. And so their art would be the way for them to support themselves. And once we do this show called Art in Mind, and our first show was in 2021, and we showcase documentaries, with the first one showcasing women and femme expressing creatives, talking about mental health and disability and how their art was helping them. And so when we did our second Art in Mind, which is 2023, in October, about a year after, a year of development after my mom went into remission, we were pulling it all together. And we realized, you know what, let's fundraise and try to do this micro grant program. Our collaborator who became our sponsor for last year's show, BrainArts.org, we originally were planning to fundraise for them. And because we did in 2021, and they said, no, don't give us the funds. You raise these funds and give out these $200 micro grants. And we had a goal of 1,000. We didn't meet our first goal of 1,000 in 2021, but we were so fortunate that in 2023 we did, and we reached 1,453. So we were able to create 7 grants, and we just pulled it together over the last couple months with our open call in March of this year, and we were able to have another grant added on, the 8th grant that was sponsored by For All Things Digital, which is a Black woman-owned business that helps create resources for mostly Black women, but marginalized business owners. And she said, I want to sponsor this. Let me give you an 8th grant. And so we had our open call, and all these artists submitted, and now we've been curating. We've selected our finalists, but now we're like setting up our virtual gallery, and these artists will be announced around June 15th, and we'll be giving them these funds to help with medical care, or some artists have talked about like they'll use it for like gender affirming care. They'll use it for to help with creating a studio, art supplies, getting back on their feet after like a loss or like bills. And so we were like, wow, this is a test. It's only 200. And we were like, well, it's going to be small, but let's see how people use it. And people are using it in ways that it's literally going to help them get back on their feet. And we're like, wow, that small amount could do a lot. So we're so happy that it's coming together, and there's going to be a virtual 3D gallery. We use this program called Kunst Matrix, and it's a 3D gallery you can walk through, and it gives you a tour. All these artists will be featured, and they'll be featured in a little video talking about their work and the micro grant, how it's helping. So it's just so many years trying to pull this together, and it's finally happening. And so each time we do Art in Mind, which is every other year, with the next one being next year, we'll just keep doing it and keep raising the amount with a goal of eventually reaching about creating $500 micro grants. So
and that grant is from my mission. My mom, every time that she wanted to be a seamstress, and every time she would try to take classes, my dad would go to every place and he would beat her, pull her out in front of everybody, and she would never let her get out of crisis. And I remember how much she wanted to do it. She was a really good seamstress. She made all of my clothes for me and stuff. And I remember how that made her feel and what she would say and how she would look, how I would see her crying and everything. And it was just embarrassing. And you always felt ashamed and everything, and the stigma that followed us. And I was like, you know what? If I can ever get to help a woman like my mom, even though it's something small, I will do that. And wow, I'm 61 years old, and I cannot believe that from all the way back, this little person in the little Caribbean island of Barbados, 166 square miles, determined that I would have this mission. And so many people, because of the stigma of domestic violence and the background I came from and all my bad decisions, didn't believe in me. And my mom is now gone. She's not here anymore. But Amaranthia is here, and I can pass it on to her. And the slogan that we use is bridging gaps to the past, the present, and the future. So those gaps that were created, I'm bridging with me and my daughter. And my mom is gone, and my entire family is gone. That nuclear family that was violent is gone, but I'm here now. And so creating a family of my own, I'm giving this precious gift to my daughter to carry on for the future. So it is really amazing that although it's 200, that I can make a difference in a woman's life, a marginalized woman's or gender, femme's life.
I want to ask you before we get going too far, if somebody feels called to donate to your cause, how do they do that?
Yeah. So we actually opened a PayPal donation page when like a month or so ago.
Yes.
And so we've been getting some donations, and we're not a nonprofit, but it's a grassroots project, and so people donate to help us live off of this work or
Yes.
help us get supplies. And so right on our website at the top there's
Yeah.
a PayPal donation
Yes.
link. You just press that and it allows people
Yeah.
to do that directly.
Yeah, and they donate. We've been getting small donations because I'm immunocompromised and we are COVID cautious family because of my situation. I'm still in recovery from the cancer, and so we have we do virtual. I'm sorry, I could never get it right. I always say virtual. Virtual. We always do virtual because since going in, I had cancer in the middle of a big COVID surge, and knock on wood, I have not had COVID to this point. No one in our family, knock on wood, because we always wear masks wherever we go, and we're always advocating because every appointment I go to, I have to advocate for the nurses and doctors around me to wear masks, because it's always a fight and it's very stressful. And so it's very, very important to us that we continue to do this work virtually. Virtually.
Yeah.
I always get it wrong, and do this work, and because there are many people out there like us who can't make it out in person.
Yeah.
And so it's very important for us.
Yeah. So the funds help us with continuing this work and getting equipment like these mics or a tripod or things like that, and even a meal.
Yes.
We could put it towards Art in Mind.
Yeah.
So it's really we're really happy to be able to do this, and we're also going to be doing a coffee page soon, so like a Patreon, so people can commission me for my artworks, or if they want me to do like poster work for events, or or get early access to the work that we do.
Yes.
So yeah.
And what is your website if people want to go there?
sistacreativesrising.com. So they could go there, or they could go to our Instagram, which is Sista Creatives Rising as well.
And it's Sista, not sister. So it's
SISTA Creatives with an S.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, Amy and Nancy, I'm really pleased that you brought them to us so that we could get some information out about them. How did you find them?
Julie DeLuca Collins, who has been on with us here. Julie is just an amazing connector of people, and she meets so many people all the time, but she's really, really great at saying, oh, this is a good fit. Yes. And so she introduced us to Claire and Amaranthia, and we were just like, we felt like it was family instantly. So much that we connect on, and we knew that you too needed to meet them. We knew that you would love them and that your audience would love them. And so
thank you.
Why we had to get them on right away.
We're so pleased that you did. Holly, is the jackhammering still going on at your house?
It is intermittently, but I really want to get a couple questions in before.
Sure.
So the first one is, and this is for all our listeners out there, and especially Tamara, because I know she'll want to visit your virtual gallery. Tell people where they can look for that and when they can look for that, and kind of describe a virtual gallery a little bit, because I have not been to one before, and I'm super excited. Yours is probably going to be my first, and then I have one more question after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So our virtual gallery, it's right on our website. If you go to our Art in Mind event page, like you'll see information about the first event and the second one, and our 2023 one, I Know Who I Am, Journeys of Women of Color and Femme Expressing Creatives, has the first virtual gallery we developed. And so it's on the website, kuntzmatrix.com, but it's embedded on our site. So if you check out the I Know Who I Am subpage, you'll see it right there, like about the top of the page of that subpage. And what's really great about it is it's completely interactive. You have music playing. It's playing music by a composer we worked with from Australia named Mel Chilianis, and they're disabled queer creative, and it has actually the theme of my mom's documentary that we showcased about her cancer last year. And so you'll go in and you'll hear this beautiful piano music, and it just starts a tour for you if you want, and then it'll just take you through, and you can read all the art pieces, and it's like you're walking through it. So you just use your mouse and go around, and I would say it's kind of like VR. But you don't need the headset, but it's like that. And you just get to click all the images, read about the artist. We try to make it as disability accessible as possible. So it's got image descriptions, artwork descriptions. You can read details about the artist. You'll see like the documentaries in there, and the artist videos from last year, like who they are, what they do, why they do it. And then our new one for our microgrant program, the Sisters Uprising Fund, that will be coming out. So later, I would say later this month, probably mid this month. And so it'll be similar to that one. And we're really excited to show these artists and let people know like who they are, what their stories are, because it's very similar to the Art in Mind concept.
Go ahead, Holly.
Can you hear the jackhammering?
No, you're good.
No, it's clear.
Let me know. Just raise your. What about now? Now.
No, you're all right.
No,
You're
it's so good.
Awesome. Well, the other question I really wanted to ask was, what are some of the common animals you would see in Barbados? Because I have never been somewhere tropical, and that's one of my favorite things when you go somewhere new is what kind of like animals do you see?
Snakes. Why did it have to be snake?
No, I never saw a snake.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
good.
Never saw a snake, but we have chickens, we have cows, we have a sheep that is, I can't remember the name of it, black belly sheep. It was supposed to be special to Barbados, but I'm not sure if they came from Africa and I don't know how they came, but it's called a black belly sheep. We have there are different things that you can see on the island. Different
there's lizards.
There's lizards
and there's monkeys.
Brilliant monkeys. Brilliant.
Which is pretty cool.
Bright lizards. There's a flower cave to the northernmost part of the island where the flowers are like alive, kind of. They're because we're on coral.
Reactive?
Yes, Barbados is made from built on coral, and so the water comes through that, and it's absolutely clean, and it's really refreshing to drink. And the one thing that stuck out to me was roosters. If you go there, you hear the rooster, and they'll wake you up.
They're very irritating.
They're very loud. You try to go back to sleep, and they'll come up again. They're very loud, and I would always remember that. I could always hear that. And the one thing I absolutely hated, was the millipedes and the centipedes. They're big and they're gross. And if you ever, like, I also hate, because it's hot, sometimes you'll get the big roaches that'll be flying around outside. And so it was filled with smells and sounds and textures and colors. And all of that helped me even in the midst of the violence, because I would always go to the ocean and stand at the water's edge and say, I'm going to be over there. And I'd squint my eyes and look over to the very horizon, and I'd see the ships coming in with the cruise ships coming in. And I'd be like, one day I'm going to be over there. So I'd do things like that. It was just, the environment was very rich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go when I was in high school. Our dad did advertising. That was his career. And he somehow got a job. There was a new hotel opening on the very southernmost point of the island. And he got the job to do like the brochures for it.
Yeah.
So he got an all expense paid vacation for my mother and him, and then they took me because I was in high school, so they couldn't leave me at home, and they let me bring my best friend. So we got to
That's
this
amazing.
hotel was completely, nobody was staying there yet because it wasn't
Mhm.
open yet. So it was just us in this gorgeous hotel right on the water.
Yeah.
And I just remember it being warm and sunny and beautiful, and the ocean
Yeah.
was gorgeous, and the food. I, to this day, remember this piece of chicken that I had for dinner one night.
Yes.
I can see where I was sitting. It was right on the water, and
Yeah.
the chicken, I can taste the chicken. It was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. The food is
Yeah.
amazing.
I remember for me it was I think it was the pudding and
The
sauce.
pudding and sauce.
Yeah, which is like a pork dish, and it has a
Yeah,
like
it's pickled pork, and then they have the intestine of the pig, and it's cleaned out really clean, and then they stuff it with sweet potatoes that's seasoned, and it has like blood in it, and
so it's like a sweet potato blood sausage.
Yeah, blood
thing.
sausage, but it's really delicious. And every weekend you have to put in your orders to get it. So every weekend it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Put in sauce orders.
Cool.
Well, and by the way, I wanted to ask you, Claire, how are you feeling these days?
Oh, I'm so much better. When that emergency situation happened, I didn't even know that something. I felt really weird, but I really didn't know that it was like that till I ended up in the hospital, and then they said I had this thing wrapped around my spine like a donut, and then next thing I know, I wasn't walking, and it took me from March of 2022 to the late summer learning to walk again. And now I walk with a cane. I had it was interesting because I had at that time the nurses and doctors were still wearing masks and everything, and you didn't have that fight that you have now. Like now, if I have to go to an appointment, every appointment is a fight because everyone is I have to protect myself, and it's always a fight because you don't know you're gonna be in contact with. So I have to work with patient relations. I have to do all of this work before I can go to an appointment. But now I've done it for so long. All of my oncologists, my hematology, everybody knows who I am now. So, and I'm in touch with patient relations. So now it's a lot better. I don't have to fight as much, although I still have to make sure I call. So I'm walking with a cane and every day, and now I'm planking. Every morning I get up out of my bed and I go to and do my planking, and that I find that is strengthening my spine again. And I still had little tightness in certain areas, but now I find that the planking really is helping me with everything, and lots of stretching, lot of yoga, lots of Tai Chi, exercising, and it's coming back, but I'm still walking with a cane, and it's just day to day, every day.
Yeah.
If I can just add this in real quick, because I think it's important for the education of all of our listeners worldwide, and that is this: in the United States, we have something now called the ADA, or the American Disabilities Act.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to that act, and according to how we should be treating, we should be treating each other anyway. Some disabilities are not necessarily obvious.
Yes.
I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, that's obviously you're in a wheelchair. But there are lots of autoimmune issues, and there are other issues that can be going on with people. And so everyone needs to be treated with the amount of respect.
That's right.
That they may not have all of the tools that a normal person has. So if you're wearing a mask, there's a reason.
Exactly.
And so respect that.
Yeah.
And be kind to those people as well. And so I just wanted to get that out, that it is law in the United States, not always adhered to, but it is something that is really important for all of us to understand, that disabilities are not necessarily obvious.
Exactly. They're invisible and visible. We have both. I have visible and invisible disability. Amaranthia and I have complex PTSD, agoraphobia, and panic disorder. Both of us have this disability, but it's invisible. So if you see us looking at me now, quote unquote, normal.
Yeah.
But really and truly, it's always a battle every day.
Yeah.
every day. And because it's easier for me than my husband and my daughter to go to the doctor, because everybody can see that I use the cane. And sometimes I have to go with them so they don't have to get in a fight, when they go to the doctor, because they are protecting me when they wear masks. Sometimes the caretakers wear the mask to protect the people they're caring for. They might not have a disability, but so people wear masks for different reasons. And it's really stressful when people don't understand that, and then they attack you, or some people have had come up to them and try to take your mask off, or they ask you weird questions. We haven't run into that, but we're in a community where we hear all these stories. And so thank you so very much for saying that. It's very important that people know.
Yeah. And I think a massive part of what we do with Sister Creatives Rising, I mean, our first art show was about COVID, and it was talking about
Oh,
wait a minute.
Oh, it's
Oh,
back.
there we go.
Yeah.
It was like talking about how their art was helping them cope with everything that was going on. And so what we use with our platforms, not only talking about the arts and marginalized artists overall, but a lot of the artists that we work with, I would say a good chunk of them are disabled. A lot of them are homebound. A lot of them are they're still masking, and they're what we call still COVIDing. And just like us, we are also pretty much homebound. And so we also work with try to work with organizations, collaborate with them, and raise awareness about how COVID is still ongoing.
Exactly.
It's still killing 1,000 people or more per week in America. Numbers are going up again. We had our second biggest surge in between the fall, late fall and January. So it's still killing and disabling a lot of people. And so we're using our platform to share our experiences, like my mom said, at the doctor, but also highlight the art that these people create, that we create, and say like, hey, this is still happening. We have to protect these communities. We have to talk about community care, and we have to talk about raising awareness about organizations that are doing this work, and creating accessible events, whether they're virtual or they're in person and they're requiring masking. So immunocompromised people can participate, cancer patients can participate. So it's been a major part of our work, and it's hard work, but we've been able to connect to this community that I feel is really untapped. Now that a lot of people are getting long COVID and stuff, I feel like it's getting bigger and more people are having this discussion. So we hope with with our next Art in Mind, we'll be focusing more on COVID and climate again, and climate change and how it's affecting these communities, and just continuing that conversation, because so many people have left it behind. Unfortunately,
COVID has caused people to lose their homes and lose their jobs and everything. And it's like, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, and quite frankly, the media got tired of covering it, so they don't cover it. But that doesn't change the facts on the ground.
No. We're still living out here with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Go ahead, Amy.
I have a question for Sister Creatives Rising, which is, you guys have a very special milestone coming up this week. There's an event that you're participating in, and I would love for you to share that with everybody so that people can get their tickets.
Yeah, so we are going to be at, we've done speaking events before, but this is our first major one together, and it's called Ramp Your Voice. And it is a virtual summit this Friday, and it is talking about Black disabled activists, highlighting Black disabled activists, talking about our experiences, and making sure that we are seen and heard and have these conversations, like what we've been talking about. And so it starts at like 11:30. It's a YouTube live stream, and we'll be on at 3:45 on a panel about Black disabled families, and with two other amazing activists. And I think it's Morinike and Natasha. I hope I'm not getting their names wrong, but all their info is on rampyourvoice.com. You can get a free ticket at Eventbrite, so you get that YouTube link in your email. And it's just really, really awesome work. It's founded by Valissa Thompson, who's a big Black disability activist in our community. So we really encourage people to check it out.
And coincidentally, another one of our Passionistas, Cara Reedy, who's done a lot of our summits, is actually going to be speaking during the summit as well. And it's a complete coincidence. So very excited you're all going to be there. Yeah, I can't wait to watch her her talk. I think it's another panel too. So yeah, she's amazing. You'll love her.
Oh, very good. Well, ladies, we're going to run out of time. And so, but first, Holly, do you have any other thoughts, any other questions, anything else you'd like to add other than the jackhammering that's going on?
Sorry about that. Join us every first and third Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to meet more Power Passionistas and get to know Amy and Nancy Harrington from the Passionistas Project.com on positivetalkradio.net.
And also on the YouTube channel, and you can do that live, which is Positive Talk Radio on YouTube, and also we're on the Brushwood Media Network, and so this show will appear there. Probably next week or the week after, one of the two, depending on when I can get my act together. But the Passionistas, what would you like to add before we go?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I would just like to say to anyone out there struggling, just find your people, whether that's a organization like Sister Creative Rising or the Passionistas Project or your neighbor or somebody. But if you're struggling, reach out. Somebody out there loves you.
And I would like to say thank you to Claire and Amaranthia for being here. And I want to just say that 2 weeks when we come back, we are bringing Carolyn Koppel, who is the founder of Aaron's Coffee Corner, who is the first person to get me a real job in Hollywood and a dear, dear friend for decades. And you are going to love her. She's got a fascinating story too. So I hope you all come back for that.
Now, somebody who's highly creative just chimed in. Phantom Electric Ghost said, awesome. I have no idea who that is.
That's my dad.
That's my husband, her dad.
Hey, Phantom.
Hey, Dad. Nice to have you on board, buddy.
Yeah.
And ladies, one more thing, whatever's on your heart to say, or your contact information, or both.
Thank you so much again for having us and having this conversation. And people could check us out at sistercreativesrising.com again. And we're very active on Instagram, Sister Creatives Rising as well. And if you'd like to donate so we can keep doing this, all the info is on our website at the top or on our Instagram links if you check out our Instagram. So we hope that you can check out our gallery coming up, support our work, come to Ramp Your Voice. It's very educational. You'll learn a lot about disability justice and what you can do to help make a change. So thank you again.
And stay safe and protected in your brilliant light. Thank you so much for having us.
And I want to say this. You two are passionate about what you're doing. You're going to be doing this for a very long time.
Thank you.
And it's going to be very successful.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Holly, anything else?
No. I hope the jackhammering stops. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
This has been a really fun time, and I'm glad everybody was here, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. And thank you. And we'll be back, or the Passionistas will be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back sooner than that, and so will Holly, maybe if I can get her to. But ladies, again, thank you very much. This has been a powerful episode.
Thanks for having us.
Peace out.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.